Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely fascinating. We are going to take a modern sociological framework and use it to unpack the grim realities of 19th century Russian rural life, exactly as they're depicted in Anton Chekhov's famous literature. It is just a brilliant way to see how older stories can reveal timeless truths about human suffering and the hidden forces that shape our society.
So here is our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting 1. Chekhov's grim rural reality. 2. Geltung's theory of violence. 3. Direct and structural abuse. 4. Cultural justification of injustice. 5. The lasting social impact. And finally, 6. Reader reflections on suffering.
Section 1. Chekhov's grim rural reality.
Anton Chekhov wasn't just a literary genius. He was actually a practicing medical doctor. And he looked at society's ills with this clinical precision. To really get what he was doing, we need to ground ourselves in the stark, gritty reality of his story, Peasants. Imagine this. A guy named Nikolai leaves Moscow, heads back to his home village of Chekhov, probably hoping for some kind of peaceful, pastoral retreat. But instead, his family is met with intense misery. They are suffocating under crushing poverty, ignorance, and this incredibly bitter envy. The daily grind there is literally grueling.
Which brings us to this amazing quote. Check out this profound observation from a modern reader review on the Objed reading platform. They wrote, "There is no such thing as madness, it is only the corruption of the prevailing social law." Wow, right? It perfectly sets a slightly provocative tone for us today. It really asks us to pause and consider, are Chekhov's characters actually losing their minds? Or is the societal structure around them just so deeply broken that it inevitably breeds this kind of despair?
Section 2. Geltung's theory of violence.
To unpack this kind of social corruption, we're going to lean on a really powerful academic framework, Johann Galtung's theory of violence. Galtung was a total pioneer in peace studies, and his big idea is that violence isn't just someone throwing a physical punch, right? It's systemic. He breaks it down into this triad: direct, structural, and cultural violence. By looking at these three interconnected pieces, we can see exactly how a society traps its most vulnerable people.
Section 3. Direct and structural abuse.
Okay, so let's look at a recent academic analysis from Maulana Malik Ibrahim State Islamic University, which perfectly maps Galtung's concepts right onto Chekhov's Peasants. It's super interesting how cleanly this breaks down the visible versus the invisible. On one side, you've got direct violence. This is the stuff you can see, like the beatings, the insults, the physical abuse. But on the other side, structural violence. These are the invisible systems holding people down, like crushing poverty, ignorance, and unfair taxes that basically trap farmers in a constant cycle of dependency. So direct violence leaves the bruises you can see, but structural violence, that ensures these people can never, ever rise above their circumstances.
Section 4. Cultural justification of injustice. Now, you might be wondering, how on earth do these oppressive systems survive without the whole village just rising up and rebelling? Well, it all comes down to cultural violence. This happens when deeply ingrained customs and traditions make massive injustice seem totally normal. It's when the beatings and the poverty are just viewed as an accepted part of daily life. And the truly insidious part? When injustice becomes a cultural tradition, people actually start participating in their own subjugation.
Section 5. The lasting social impact.
So what does this actually do to the psychology of a community when they're subjected to this triad generation after generation? The academic thesis highlights some seriously grim impacts. We're talking about constant fear, a complete loss of security, and this tragic breakdown of social bonds, where neighbors start turning on each other with envy instead of offering support. It destroys any trust in outside institutions and totally normalizes intergenerational injustice. This endless, vicious cycle is exactly why Nikolai's return to his village is just so heartbreaking.
Section 6. Reader reflections on suffering.
Let's bring all this heavy academic analysis back to the emotional resonance that readers feel today. Chekhov, along with the other heavy hitters of Russian literature, gave us this timeless psychological exploration of suffering. When we look at modern reviews on platforms like Objed today, readers are still having these deep, completely visceral reactions. Even across centuries and totally different cultures, seeing the structural and direct violence on the page triggers a massive sense of empathy, whether you're a modern scholar or just an everyday reader.
To wrap things up, I want to leave you with a fascinating philosophical question drawn directly from one of those modern reader reflections. They ask, is the feeling of pain internal or external? It's a huge question. Does our suffering come entirely from the harsh structures and cultural violence out there in the world, or does it come from how we process that corruption internally? And why is it that we often feel we have to suffer ourselves to truly comprehend the suffering of someone else? I want you to really think about that as you reflect on the structures shaping our own society today. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to always look beneath the surface of the stories you read.